Welcome back to this week's episode. On today's podcast, we welcome on photographer Bryan Birks. Bryan Birks is a photographer based in St. Louis, Missouri. He's well known for his large format portraiture, editorial work, and as well as some of his fine art projects. He also runs a really great YouTube channel. That's how I first discovered him, where Bryan just kind of talks about his work and this photography and this really amazing channel. I definitely recommend checking it out. In this interview, I just kind of talked to Bryan about how he got into photography, what attracted him to working in large format, some of his fine art projects, and much more. Really enjoy Bryan's honest work, so I was excited to get him on. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. And before we get into today's podcast, just have to give a big thank you to our sponsor, PicDrop. PicDrop is a file transfer tool that was actually designed by photographers with photographers in mind. It's a great tool for when you need to send your photos and videos to clients. I can create custom folders and galleries where clients can easily access and download my files. They can leave notes, rate photos, and just kind of streamlines my workflow. It keeps everything in one spot. Another one of the features I really enjoy is the new Scribble tool. So from working with a retoucher, I can leave notes on the photos and easily communicate with the members of my team. And this kind of, like I said, this kind of streamlined thing and save myself time. And another thing that's great about PicDrop is they're never going to use your photos for AI training without your permission, which a lot of other companies are doing these days. They really have photographers in mind when developing the products they're doing. And I've been using it for over 6 years now, and just really enjoy it. So with today's episode, if you enter the promo code BANTER, for first-time users of PicDrop, you'll get 2 months free of the PicDrop transfer tool. All you got to do is go to picdrop.com, enter the promo code BANTER, and you'll get 2 months free for first-time users. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. You can click that link. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, and enjoy today's episode. Thank you. All right, Bryan Birks, long time coming, man.
Yes.
We've been Instagram, social media friends for a while now, so I was excited to get you on here, talk to you about everything you're working on. But thanks for taking the time to do this, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been a long time listener. Mark Mahaney, the episode with him is like my Bible. It's like my church.
Hey, well, I appreciate it, man. I thought about doing this whole episode because when you record your videos on YouTube, and everyone can go check out your channel, you do standing up most of the time. You're just standing.
Yeah. I don't know. It just makes it makes me feel more creative, I guess, and just keeps me on my toes instead of just sitting down. But yeah, I have gone through so many different ways of recording with a mic, without a mic, with a lav, standing up, sitting down. I can't figure out a good way to do it.
Hey, well, you're gonna figure it out one way or the other. But excited to have you, man. And getting ready for this interview, man. I was going on your website, your Instagram. You don't have a ton of pictures on your website. What's that about, man? I wanted to dig deeper. I was like, looking at some of your projects, and it's not a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do like an archive section just to show all the older stuff, but I went through a period of just like really culling down everything and only putting like certain things on there, which I don't really know if it matters all that much. I like going on someone's website and looking at everything they've done, so maybe I should do that, but I don't like showing too much of like ongoing work, I guess, because it I've talked about this on YouTube and the website's a little bit different, but even in YouTube videos talking about projects, I feel like I might get too much,
Jinx
too many
yourself.
opinions.
Yeah. Kind of mess
And
with.
then I'm like
Yeah.
changing the project or doing something different based on like one YouTube comment, which isn't a good way to go about things. So yeah, I might have to change that up in the future.
No, do whatever you want, man. I was just trying to dig deeper. But what's your like editing process? Are you would you say, because looking at your how you make your videos, I really admire them. You're very much more like meticulous, even with the titles and the text. I'm this sloppy. I fucking just throw this shit up there. But you're like, are you like a very detail oriented, like meticulous person? Because like when I look at your work, it feels like that. And then that's not diss. It's like a good thing. I wish I was more like that.
No, I think I am. I have one of my, I mean, my wife says one of my negatives is perfectionism, and I just try to make everything as perfect as I can get it. But I wish that I could be more just like loose with everything. And I actually mentioned that in my last video. So it's something that I'm working on going into the new year, but I am very, especially when it comes to YouTube, I just don't want to fall into like the category of like clickbait or anything like that. I never want to like show myself in a thumbnail. I just want to show the work. Or if I'm talking about someone else, if
You
I'm
know,
talking about someone else, I want to show their face or their work. And then even with titles, I don't want to like trick anyone. I don't want to make anyone click on it and then it's something else. So I just try to be very basic and to the point with everything. But yeah, I do think that I'm pretty meticulous and detail oriented in that way.
that's good. You mean you don't want to hold up like a Nikon Z9 or whatever and point out in the thumb?
Well, I mean, I do for my bank account, but
Yeah.
for ethical purposes, no.
Yeah, I remember a while back, we were like going back and forth on Instagram, and you were like, because you're like you won't do ads for your channel at all, right? Is that still the?
Uh, I will if I use the product a lot, and I've had two sponsors in the past. Well, I've had two sponsors, and then the desk that I have, I actually did a video or a commercial or whatever you want to call it for a desk, and I've had this desk for a long time, and it's nice. But for sponsors, yeah, I've had like two, and one was Squarespace for a while, and that kind of got soured from my own doing. But yeah, I just try to pick sponsors that I use a lot, and I believe in them, and
All right,
they
yeah,
make great stuff. And
hell yeah, man. Let's get Brian paid, baby. Uh, but excited to talk to you, man. Yeah, man. I was like looking at one of your recent videos, and I saw you went out to Europe. I think this summer. I think you were doing a job, and then kind of spent some time like wandering around. What was kind of your experience going out there? Because it was like the first time you've been out to Europe, right?
yeah, I've been wanting to get out there for a long time, but it's just never really worked with me or my wife's schedule just because she's a hairstylist, just she's just busy all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, we went out there. She was doing hair for the wedding and I was doing photo for the wedding, and it was in Spain. And yeah, I had never been out there before, didn't really know what to expect, but we flew into Spain and then we went to God, I just did it again. Sorry. Um, we went to Ronda, Spain, Seville, and then we ended in Lisbon, Portugal. And yeah, it was pretty wild. I had never seen architecture like that. Just the people being so different, but incredibly different from St. Louis in the Midwest. And I actually don't get out to like big cities all that much, so it was pretty crazy experience overall.
And you kind of touched on something in the video, and people can go watch it that I can kind of relate to is I've never been a good like I think you kind of called it like tourist photography, like where you kind of go about and because like looking at your work, it's a lot of project based stuff. And even you kind of touched on like people who are like street photographers and like that's kind of where I struggle. Like going to New York City and where it's just tons going on. I know some photographers they go there and they feel like it's like a playground or whatever. But for me, I jam up because it's like too much. What was your kind of experience going out there and making pictures?
Yeah, I get incredibly overwhelmed with too many people. And that's why I applaud like every street photographer that can make work in circumstances like that, because it's just if I'm walking down a street and there's 5, 10, 15 people pointing their camera at something, I'm like, I'm not going to photograph that. And then if there's someone walking down the street that looks interesting, I'm shy and I don't want to like intrude on anyone's like time. And that's something that looking at street photography, it's just, yeah, it's something that I can't really do all that well. And I'll go and knock on someone's door or like go up to someone and ask them for a portrait. But if I'm sitting back and maybe trying to sneak a photo, that always feels a little bit even even more intrusive in a way. And I know like looking at people's work, I love looking at street photography and I love like what Paulie's doing with his YouTube channel and showcasing people like that, but just definitely not my cup of tea, and especially in a whole different country.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man. So you were out there shooting a wedding. Is how long you been shooting weddings for?
Well, I've been doing wedding videography for 10 years now. I actually went to school for TV and film. And as soon as I got out of college, I thought I was just going to have like a job right away. And that was not the case at all. So my roommate at the time, his sister was getting married and they asked me to film it. And I'm like, well, I've never done this before, but I mean, I guess it can't be too hard. And I did that one. And then the next year I did one more. And then it kind of just snowballed. And I started doing that full time in 2015. And then, yeah, I've been doing wedding videos ever since. And then recently, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I started transitioning more to photography because more people with their weddings, they want photo over video. So it's just a little bit more of a demand. So,
That's like the opposite of every other photography like job. Everyone else wants video. It's like the one
yeah,
sector where that's interesting.
yeah. And now I feel like the more traditional wedding video is kind of on its way out, and people are going more towards content creation and like old school camcorders and Super 8 and all this stuff. So now we're trying to like transition with all that and trying to stay on top of all the trends.
And you went to school, I think I read you went for communications, right?
Yeah, well, it was mass communications with an emphasis in TV and film. And like I said, I was not the best student. I thought that you would just get the sheet of paper and then you go into a business and you're like, here you go, like give me a job now.
Yeah.
But I applied to so many places within like the video industry in St. Louis and like out of state. And I think I got like one interview. And then I literally had to work at a gas station for a while when I was like starting my wedding business. And then luckily that kind of took off. And then I was able to like live on that for, well, that's like my career now. So
Were you already taking like still photos then too, like while you're in college, or like when did you kind of first initially pick up a camera and like kind of find your interest in photography?
I would, I always had a camera on me, but it was mostly, I always used to talk shit on photographers because I was like, oh, video is way harder because it's 24, it's 30 frames a second and all this shit. But I learned quickly that that was not the case. But yeah, I would always have like a camera on me and I would always make like home videos and movies and things like that. But I started to get really interested in photography around like 2019. And that's kind of when I started my YouTube channel as well, because I just wanted to show like the process of everything and like the evolution and just kind of look back on where I started and kind of go through everything from like step one. Just if anyone else wanted to watch it from the beginning, you could literally just see like learning the basics all the way until what I'm doing now.
What kind of prompted you to kind of start taking your photography more seriously? You think was there like something that inspired you, or you just kind of you kind of found yourself kind of picking up the camera more, I guess?
Yeah, well, the first thing I saw, I was on Reddit and I saw a picture of Cinestill 800T, and I was like, why is everything glowing red? Like, what the hell is that? And then I went down this deep rabbit hole of just learning about film and medium format. So, like, my first camera was a Mamiya 645, and then I got that, and then I went to large format and I was looking at all of that and I found like the work of Alex Soth and Joel Sternfeld and Brian Skutmont. And yeah, after seeing that work, I told myself, I was just like, that's the type of work that I want to make. And I experimented with all types of cameras and everything, but I kept going back to the large format camera and it just seemed to fit how I go about things. And I'm a little bit slower, a little bit more technical. And I'm never going to be the street photography guy, like going down the street blasting photos, like I said. But yeah, bought my first 4x5 in like 2020, and then haven't really looked back since.
And what is it about the 4x5 you enjoy so much?
I love the look of it, and I love film in general. I can just never get digital colors to look the way that I want. So that is one of the biggest factors, but also just when I'm interacting with people or if I'm walking down the street, because a lot of my portraits does deal with people that I don't know. It's just a little bit more of a icebreaker in a way. And I think it really like puts people at ease whenever they're looking at that because they don't really know what it is. It doesn't look like a normal camera. And if I walk down the street with a digital camera, people just, they don't care because they see that all the time.
Yeah.
And if I walk down the street with a 4x5, like every couple steps, people are looking at me or coming up to me and asking questions. So it's just a nice icebreaker to potentially make some portraits of people that I don't know.
I like because you'll even use it for I've seen some like the assignment work you do for like the New York Times and other publications, and you even break out the 4x5 for that too, right?
Yeah, I ideally I would like to use it all the time, but obviously like turnaround times are not great. They're super quick. It's expensive, so I've only gotten paid like, or I've only got reimbursed like one time with using large format film on an assignment. But yeah, ideally I would like to use it all the time. And I always take it with me just in case. But yeah, most of the time with assignments, it's just too quick to use that, and then I just have to use digital. And then most of the time, I'm never happy with any of the color work. And then because they never, a lot of people, a lot of editors just want color digital files, and I'm like, I would rather do black and white. I would rather do film, but I'm just not to that point in my career yet where I can pick and choose what assignments I want to do.
Yeah, how much I haven't shot 4x5 in like 15 years. What's a box of 4x5 going for now?
Uh, so I use T-Max 100, and that is 170, I think, for 50 sheets, which isn't too terrible. But Portra 160, I think, is up to $75 for 10 sheets.
Crazy.
So yeah, that's I haven't been shooting much color at all recently, and that's one of the biggest reasons is just it's so expensive to shoot it, and then I would do some developing on my own at home with color film, but I always find a way to fuck it up, so I don't trust myself anymore, especially with it being $7 a sheet.
Yeah, how's because that's the other thing, finding good labs. Do you guys have a good lab in St. Louis, or like how do you kind of approach that? Because like even out here in Boston, we have a couple good ones, but the turnaround time is really slow. It's like sometimes I either bring it to New York or send it there because they can do a really good job and things like that. But how do you kind of handle that?
St. Louis has one film lab and they don't do 4x5. So that's that's the main reason why I would have to do it myself. But they do medium format, and the turnaround time's like a day or so. But even then, if I wanted to use film on an assignment, I would have to get a medium format camera, and then that's just buying a whole other system and then having more gear. And I try to keep it I try to keep my gear pretty simple just because I don't like carrying around a bunch of shit, and I just want to keep it as easy as possible. But yeah, I would love if St. Louis, if that specific lab did 4x5, because that would help me out a lot.
Yeah. Um, and then in terms of weddings, because I think it is interesting. I did wedding for years, and do you feel like being a wedding videographer and like kind of doing the video side, did that kind of influence your photography at all, or anything kind of skills you picked up from that? Obviously, it's a little different than still photography, but all that experience kind of help you out, you think?
Yeah, it in the beginning, especially because obviously I knew things like exposure and just ISO and shutter speed and things like that. So whenever I did end up getting a film camera, I wasn't making those basic mistakes. I was just messing up compositions and everything, and the typical things like that. But yeah, having a background in and not only the technical side of things, but just the business side of things, and interacting with clients and taking emails and phone calls. Like that's helped me out a lot moving on into like assignment work and more commercial work. Um, and then like I remember on Mahaney's episode here, he was talking about QuickBooks. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's
It was
I
like
don't use QuickBooks, but it is like a big thing to just keep track of your shit and make sure that you're doing it in a professional way and making sure you're doing all that on the business side. But yeah, I think every job that I've had in the past like has taught me about something. Even working at a gas station, like that helped with my people skills. and then I could use that for um, doing weddings and interacting with clients. And I just try to take everything from every job that I've had and try to use it in the next one, and I'll learn something eventually.
Yeah, because you always been, because a lot of your work is portrait based and you're photographing like strangers and people you just run into. Um, have you always been comfortable like approaching people to make portraits, or is that something you kind of had to build on? What's
Yeah, that I knew that I when I saw the work of the people that like the Alex Sos of the world and people that photograph strangers, I was like, I want to do that, but inside I was like, there's no way I can do that because it's just I am like a pretty introverted person and a shy person. So even like in the first YouTube videos where I was asking people for portraits, I would literally have to take a shot of whiskey before I would go like knock on their door. And I definitely don't recommend taking a shot and driving around your car, but
no?
you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And yeah, I would be. I'm still nervous when I approach people. It's definitely a lot less, but yeah, there's been countless times where I'm in my car and I see someone or something and I have to take like a couple laps around the block, gather up the courage, and then knock on the door. But it certainly got easier over the years, but it definitely did not start out that way at all.
Yeah, I think that's why I like your channel, man, because I mean you can see in the comments and stuff, you kind of let your like quirks show in the video. Like you kind of embrace like the awkward moments. Like there was one where in the video you just left the room for like a while and then you like came back and there was a flyer, some shit, man. So it's just
Oh yeah,
like
spider.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think way too much about YouTube videos, and I always try to make it something, and then it always turns into something else. So I don't want to try to be like a character or an
Yeah.
influencer or anything like
Yeah.
that. I just want to be myself, and I think like moving forward, especially with how many people are making content and making videos and YouTube channels, it's just like you just have to be yourself because
Yeah.
there's already too many people out there that are trying to replicate the bigger channels or people that have been successful. And it's like they're successful because they're themselves and that's how they are. So you just need to be yourself. And for better or for worse, I am myself on YouTube, and I've gotten a lot of comments in the past, like people just talking about how they're like, you need to smile more, like you need to be. I'm like, I already hate talking about myself enough, and now I'm doing it in front of a camera. Like I'm not happy about this, but people enjoy it, so I want to put this out there, and I want to try to like help people, I
No,
guess.
I appreciate it, man. It's well-made videos and it's like I feel like the same way. It's like whatever that word content's gross, but you just make videos of like the photography you're interested in. And it's I do the same thing. It's just like if I like the work, I want to make a podcast or a video or whatever. It's not I'm not like chasing whatever people are chasing with that stuff. I feel like it's a waste of
Yeah, and
time.
that's what I enjoyed about your podcast in particular because it's so unpretentious, and you talk to someone like Mark Mahaney, and then you talk to someone that's just maybe starting out. It's the whole spectrum of people. You don't really have like a baseline of who you want to talk to. It's just speaking with photographers, hearing their stories, their experiences, and I think that's how people learn, not just talking to people that are at the top of their game, where most people they'll never reach that.
Yeah, there's enough of those interviews out there where there's this kind of ass kissing or whatever. I'm just trying to figure it out and figure out how people actually do this for a living, and just keep it moving. That's always been kind of my goal. Um, but even for people listening, because weddings, like I said, I did it for a while. It's a good way to make money. If anybody's listening who's interested in maybe kind of dabbling in weddings or wanting to get into wedding photography, like what advice would you give to them to like try to find clients and kind of build a wedding photography business in your experience?
Well, I'm going to show my age with this answer because when I first started out, I would look, and I guess people still do this, but I would look through the engagement announcements in the newspaper. And then I would search those people on Facebook and I would send them messages and be like, hey, do you need a wedding video? I just saw your announcement.
Just a little light stalking, but yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
that
And they're like, oh, wow, thanks for reaching out, I guess. It's kind of weird, but yeah, we do need a videographer. So that was the way that I got my first business, and then a lot of it just spread. Like I've never done like marketing or advertisements or anything like that. I just try to treat the people that I photograph and the clients that I have with grace, and just try to be honest with them and be nice to them. And if you're if you are like that and you deliver good work, then they're just going to refer you to anyone else when the subject comes up. And that's the way that I try to do it. But getting clients now, yeah, I don't know about that one because I'm actually in that boat a little bit because me and my wife are planning to move to Washington, Tacoma, Washington
Oh,
next
wow.
April. So yeah, I might
Yeah,
be reaching out to people and trying to
that's
figure out
why
how.
that's scary as a photographer because I feel like that because I've been in the Boston area for my whole career, so I kind of have built this business of like editorial commercial, and
Mhm.
I dream of like, oh, it'd be cool to move somewhere, but then it's like, fuck, I'm like starting from scratch. Like,
I'm terrified, seriously.
yeah, do you want to keep doing what you're doing, or is this kind of like a fresh restart to do something else for you, you think?
um, I'm gonna try to keep doing what I'm doing. This is only like a maybe a couple year thing. Well, we're planning on going out there for a couple years and then coming back and starting a family here.
Yeah.
Um, but we've always wanted to move out west, so that was always like a goal of ours, but we never followed through with it. Um, but yeah, I already have like 6 or 7 weddings booked here next year, so I'm gonna have to come back. But yeah, trying to get weddings out there and get work out there is certainly going to be a challenge. But I feel like too that I always do my best work when I'm a little bit like pushed up against a wall. So I'm hoping that that is the case with this, and then I'll eventually make it work and it will all work out. But yes, I'm certainly intimidated and a little bit scared, but I
You'll be
think
fine.
that's important to be like that every now and again because then you might get a little complacent with everything.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel right now. Uh,
But
uh,
your work, you do a lot of commercial and editorial stuff,
Yeah,
don't you?
pretty much. That's all I do. I did weddings early on in my career. Like I did the whole there, I set up like a separate company for a while. It was called Clark Weddings. Because I just wanted to separate like my editorial
Mm-hmm.
from whatever. And I was doing the whole circuit. Like I paid to go to those like wedding shows and set up a booth.
Mm-hmm.
Most like waste of money ever to go to that shit. Cause it's like, and I was giving away like free engagement sessions, thinking like, oh yeah, like they'll hire me to do their thing. Like never, dude. It was like I ended up doing I connected with like wedding planners, and that's kind of when I was shooting more weddings. That's how I got like good clients who had money, and it wasn't like this hassle thing for me. At least out here. I know every city's a little different, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. When I cringe at some of the stuff that I did when I first started. Like, I remember one of the first weddings I did video for. I showed up in t-shirt and shorts, like cargo shorts. And then, during the reception, I had business cards and I put a business card on each table at the reception. And I'm just like,
Um,
why would you do that? Like,
because you're
oh
the
my,
yeah, because you're just like desperate at that point, and
yeah.
people this kind of reeks off you, and yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I've been there, man. It's tough, but you know, you kind of got to go through it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like it was cringy for sure, but I'm like also kind of smart if you look at it.
Dude, I remember going to, speaking of that type of shit, I don't think it ever worked, but I would go to the Boston bookstores and I would put my wedding card, like 4x5 promo code in like the Knot and all the wedding magazines. I was like, yeah, someone will see it. It
Oh
was
my God.
another waste of time. Um, but yeah, dude, I appreciate that you even this because you are very well like your fine art work and your personal work. It's amazing. But you're not afraid to show like you have a link to your wedding stuff on your website. Where in photography, there's like people kind of poo-poo wedding photography or whatever, which I don't
Mhm.
understand. It's just it's a job, and it allows you to do your personal work, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think back it's all when you first start, you think you're the shit and you you think you're above everyone. And I certainly felt that way maybe in the beginning where you think you're making amazing work, you think you're the best. No, I'm not going to put my wedding website on my personal page. My personal photography is way above that, but you learn and you grow and it's like that the Dunning-Kruger effect where it's you start out and you think you know everything, and then the more that you do it, the less that you know.
Hmm.
And that's just the way that it should go for most people. And then you should, yeah, at that point, you should drop the ego and just realize everyone's just trying to make a living. Everyone's just trying to do their best. And yeah, there was a time where I didn't mix like wedding and personal stuff. But at this point, it's like, if you look at my wedding stuff and you look at my personal stuff, you can see that it's the same photographer. So
Yeah, it's all quality. That's what it comes down to. No matter what you're doing, like it's just is the quality there, and then like who gives a shit? Like it's just yeah, whatever we can do to keep doing this. That's what I'm trying to do. This making pictures and not go back to like working at retail and shit. You know?
oh yeah. Yeah, there's been so many times where I've doubted myself the past like couple years, and I'm always like talking to my wife about what I should do or what I shouldn't do, and I'm always it's always in my head that I should just get a because I've never had a true 9 to 5. I
Mhm.
guess I did in college, but having like the stability of like a 9 to 5 is very intoxicating to me.
Yeah.
But then I think about all the free time that I have now and all the time that I have to go and make personal work.
Yep.
And yeah, that outweighs everything for me because I value that way more than the stable check or the money. Like I'm very, if you watch my YouTube videos, it's obvious that I don't care about money because I don't make anything with my YouTube videos.
20
And
bucks. You made 20 bucks on the last video, man. You got lunch, dog.
yeah, that paid for like 3 sheets of film. But yeah, I think money just it obviously blinds a lot of people, and you just have to do what makes you happy. And I know that's like a super cliche, but it's just like that's at the end of the day, that's what you have to do.
It's yeah, I was kind of going through it this month, honestly. I had a slow month and I was kind of like you when you're slow and your back's up against the wall, you start to like panic. At least I do sometimes. Your mind goes to these like negative spots. I'm like, do I need to become like a plumber? I'm like, what do I need to do? You know, like, but it's just I don't know. Whatever. How do you handle that stress? Because it is like the freelance
I
gig.
don't handle it well,
No.
but like I told you, the inspector for our HVAC system, we just got a new HVAC, which if that doesn't scream like middle adulthood, I don't know what does, but uh he actually came earlier, so he's not going to interrupt the conversation, which is nice. But um, yeah, when he was like doing the work there, I was kind of like I didn't watch him the whole time, but I was down there briefly, and I'm like, this is what I should have done with my life. I should have just did a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
like some type of labor job, something that's steady, something that you know there's going to be work. AI is not going to take it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I go back and forth like that all the time, and I like I said, I don't handle it well, but everything works out in the end, I feel like, and you just have to stay positive,
Yeah.
and just do your best, and really, especially when your back is up against the wall, just try to be persistent and take chances and just do your best.
Yeah, man. And for me, I think it's just helped me to like just reach out to people. Obviously, this helps the podcast helps, but even talk to my friends and other creatives because everyone kind of goes through it. Like you have the times you're like, oh man, everything's cruising, you know?
Oh
And then
yeah.
other times, yeah, but that's life.
And that's the thing that that's one of the gripes that I have with watching a lot of people on YouTube because they don't talk about that,
Mhm.
and they just act like everything's gravy all the time, and they got this job, and they got all this stuff happening for them. I'm like, what do you like? I know you're not killing it all the time, so just like tell me and be honest with me, but you just don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, what you kind of mentioned a little bit, the YouTube thing, because it is interesting to hear because you said you're more of an introvert person. So the idea of like putting yourself on camera, which you do, and which is a hard thing to do, uh, what made you want to start that initially?
Well, I learned, I was in the process of learning everything from YouTube, and like Willem Verbeek was one of the first channels that I watched. And you could tell with he's better now. Like he's a little bit better on camera, but you can tell that he's like an introverted person. He's a little bit on the shyer side.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if he and people in the comments would comment on that, they're like, we love how Willem's like this, but he just doesn't give a fuck. He
It,
just does it.
it's relatable.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm like that, but I do want to show my process and I think it would be good. So I'm just going to do it. And like my first video is absolutely horrendous to watch just because I'm
Keep
like,
it up though, man. Don't take it down.
yeah,
I hate when YouTubers do that. They'll take the old shit and just trying to clean it up.
yeah,
I'm like, I like seeing the whole progression.
yeah, yeah. And you certainly can because the first videos, I'm like, my voice is shaking. I can't get anything out. And I'm just talking about like nonsense, but that's the only way to learn. And you just have to do it to kind of get out of your comfort zone. And I think that's obviously what holds a lot of people back, not only with YouTube, but in photography as well. It's like, if you want to take portraits of strangers, like I hate to break it to you, but you're going to have to ask a stranger for a portrait.
Yep.
And that's just what you have to do in order to progress and get better. But, and I think like even with social media and how everything is these days, it's just easier than ever to not do that and just get in the funk of like looking at other people doing the thing that you want to do. And it kind of gives you that feeling of doing it yourself, even if you didn't do it. So I think it's even harder now for people to get out of that. But yeah, if you want to do something, you just have to like do it.
Yeah, just make it. Because was your goal to make money off YouTube, or is it really more just kind of a creative side project of this things you wanted to create, pretty much?
I think in the beginning, I certainly had ideas of like getting sponsors, and there's earlier videos where I was doing like the more like influencer type stuff. Like I did a couple camera reviews, or
Hmm.
I would do like not even clickbait titles, but just like rage bait, I guess you could say. Just talking about like Leica owners and like Hasselblad people, and just trying to do that whole thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like that it was attracting people that were just like gassing me up and agreeing with all the shit talking I was doing.
Hmm.
And like I said, once you learn and once you get out of that area where you think you're hot shit,
Yeah.
and then you realize that you don't know anything, it's like, why am I talking bad about anyone? Because everyone's just trying to make it and do their best. And I know there are some like bad players and people that don't do it the right way, but um, lately I've just been trying to focus on myself. And I think I reached a point with YouTube where um, I was getting sponsors and I was getting like emails with certain sponsors or brands, but it I just had to like stick to my guns and what I initially was setting out to do with the channel. And when I go to someone's channel or I'm watching YouTube and they're talking about this camera or that camera, or there's a million sponsors on the video, like that doesn't make me want to watch the video. I just want to, I want someone to be honest with me and show me the ups and downs. And that's just what I'm trying to do with my channel. And hopefully it comes through, and hopefully, in the future, if I continue to do it, I might make a little bit more money just because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into everything.
Yeah, it's been cool to see you've been doing some like different videos than you used to do. Like you just had a recent one. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he's kind of like a war photographer, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of did like an interview with him, and it was like a
Yeah.
little different thing. So it looks like you're open to trying different stuff than you've been doing in the past.
Yeah. I've always been wanting to interview people and focus on other photographers just because in the beginning I could learn so much from just having a conversation with someone, and I can learn something about myself and my photography. And then, yeah, even with the last couple of videos that I've been doing, it's mostly based around photo books. And that's just because I want people to continue to buy photo books and look at photo books. And I think there's a lot of work out there. And there's just a lot of people that I think deserve recognition and they don't necessarily get it. So it's like it's nice to have that platform in order to speak about people like that and let them tell their story, especially someone like Jangis, who photographed in Iraq. it's like it's incredible work and it's timely work with what's going on in the world. And I think a lot of people don't like to talk about politics or talk about like what's going on in the real world on their channel, but that's just life. And I think if you can combine that with photography, you can kind of teach someone something about the world and teach them about photography. And I think it's a win-win for everyone.
No, definitely. I appreciate it. It was just you learn something, and it's also creative with the photography and stuff like that. So it's just kind of yeah. There's just a lot of that's my gripe with social media and like YouTube in general. It's designed so that you don't even have to like think or be creative anymore. Like there's a new trend on Instagram every week. It's a new dance. It's a new like funny like video that people recreate, and it's only getting worse. So like I appreciate people like your channel, or like I really like Matt Days because he just kind of talks about what's going on in his life and his projects, and it's not like he's not jumping on some trend or whatever to like boost like views or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Anything with like trends or, I mean, right now the whole thing is like with AI and that taking over, like, I don't know how that's going to end. I know it's probably not going to end well, but I'm just going to keep doing my thing and
Yeah.
just let it all sort itself out.
That's good. Let me pull up your site. I want to talk about one of your projects here. Let's see here. Your project, Articles of Virtue, which
Yes.
how long you been working on this project, and what was kind of the theme behind this series of photos?
So I started this the initial idea behind it. So basically, it's the short and sweet of it is it's about the Midwest and the people of the Midwest and the cars that they drive. It's went through different iterations and everything, but the initial idea was when I first started out, I was seeing a lot of the typical classic car photos, the tail lights, the headlights, just the cliche photos that everyone on film seems to take, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. Back in the day, again, I was a dumb idiot. I'd be like, those are stupid. It's a cliche, but um, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. And whenever I was taking those photos, a lot of the time, the owners of the cars would come out. They would be asking me questions. So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper and make it more about the people that own the cars. And it eventually went, like I said, it went through different iterations, but right now I am still working on it, but it's especially with the cost of color film, I haven't been working on it as much as I'd like. Um, but yeah, it's mostly just driving around the Midwest, going over into Illinois. I live right by the JB Bridge to get over into Illinois.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the people that I meet in those areas, it kind of just reminds me of home because I grew up in a town called Festus, a little bit south of Festus, actually. And like my family had like horses and we had a barn and some land and things like that. So a lot of the people that I meet for this project remind me of people that I met in my childhood and growing up. So it was kind of like therapeutic in that way. But yeah, I've been making this work since 2021. And like that picture of Travis was made in 2022. So pretty long time now, but yeah, I kind of put it on the back burner for now.
So you kind of just drive around, and when you see someone that kind of piques your interest, you just kind of approach them like what, like at like a gas station or wherever they're at, kind of deal.
Yeah, most of the time it's driving around. I'll go to like a small town, and then if I see there's like a couple different ways it happens. If there's like a car on the street, um, I'll see if it's like by a house. I'll go up and knock on the door, start a conversation, see what's going on, get the story of the car, things like that. And then yeah, some instances like the people are at a gas station or Travis, he was at a liquor store and he had just gotten off work and he was coming out with like a couple shooters of whiskey. And I was like, hey, nice truck. I'm working on this thing. Like, do you want to make a couple portraits? And he was down. And a lot of the times it just happens pretty organically like that. But yeah, I just try to be honest with people and tell them that I'm working on a project. And most of the time I'm a couple hours from home because I've driven 100 miles or so out into just the middle of nowhere, Illinois. But yeah, a lot of instances just happen organically like that. And um,
And
yeah.
what's your process in terms of making the portrait like this? Obviously, you're shooting 4x5 foot, 4x5, so it is a slower process. Then also like looking at your work, there's like a mood to it that you're. I would imagine you're trying to get out of these people. You don't want them grinning at you and stuff like that. So like, what's kind of the process of directing like your subject here when you're making this type of work? I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the times people they do think that it's more just like oh, smile at the camera, like stand next to my car, my pride and joy, things like that. But um, yeah, I just try to let people settle into their like an organic pose or whatever, because it does take a while to set up the 4x5 and meter for the exposure, things like that, focus. So I just tell people to just chill and we just talk a little bit. And that back and forth, I think, loosens people up a little bit and they're not as stiff and they just kind of organically go into whatever pose that they go into. And I try not to direct too much, but if I see something or if they're doing something with their hands or they're sitting or acting a certain way, I'll just be like, oh, like stop right there, just like stay just like that. And then we'll make a picture and then we might go on to something else. But for Travis, like this photo, he was just, I think this was the third or fourth picture that I took. And normally I like to start a little bit further back and I'll get like a more environmental portrait, I guess. And then I'll move in closer and closer. And that's more so for me because I'm a little bit, I'm trying to get as comfortable as possible with him as well during this process. So I think this was like the third photo, and he was just kind of leaning over the back of the truck like that, and I was just like, oh, stay exactly like that, and he was looking off into the distance exactly like that, and then I just took the picture, and it turned out to be like one of my favorite portraits that I've ever taken.
That's great. And when you're working with the 4x5 and making these portraits, like how many frames are you generally taking? I guess does it kind of vary from sitting to sitting, I guess?
Yeah. I try back in the day, I feel like it was one or two because I didn't want to waste anyone's time. But nowadays, if I come across someone that I just am really connecting with and they're not putting up too much of a fight with like time or their energy is really good, I'll definitely take like 5 or 6 photos now. And I actually got some advice from Brian Skipmont, and he said, I think it might have been someone else, but I think he said that you need to keep taking photos until the person says like, okay, I'm done,
Yeah, yeah.
or until you run out of film. So lately, that's what I've been trying to do, especially with shooting black and white. It's a little bit cheaper, so I can be a little bit more. I can take a little bit more photos compared to color film. So yeah, I've been trying to do that and just use up as much as people's time as they allow, honestly.
Yeah, because that's a mistake I made like along early on in my career, but even sometimes it happens still. I'll rush myself, and then you get back, and it's like, the photo's good, but it's like you really start to nitpick and you're like, damn, why didn't I just take my time in that little thing? It could be focus, could be just how their shirt is or whatever. And it's like if I would have just like slowed myself down or take the next picture, I would have got it even better. But you live, you learn, I guess.
Yeah, there's obviously been some times where I'm like the lights running out and I take one photo and it's like really good and I don't think that it can get any better, but that's certainly not the case with most photos. And it's a lot of the better ones that I take definitely comes from being with people a while, getting them more comfortable, explaining to them your intentions with everything and getting their best out of the situation, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It's like the little nuanced thing, like how his fingers were in this one. It's probably a little different in the other frame, and it's just like these little things that like some people might not pick up on, but as photographers, every little detail. Once you get back home and you're looking at it, you're just like, what the fuck, man? uh,
Yeah, and then a lot of people too, they ask me like either how do you because even when you ask me like how did you go about making that photo, it's like it's pretty boring how it happens, but it's just like you just you're just there, and then
Yeah.
you have to be in that situation in order to take the photo. So
Yeah.
I think that's like the main thing, is just like putting yourself in those circumstances where you can like capture what you want to capture, I guess.
Yeah, definitely to show up. It looks like you got a really beautiful gallery exhibit of this work. Where was this, and like how'd this kind of all come together for you?
Yeah, so that was in Jackson, Tennessee, and that was my first show of any kind. I've been in like a couple group shows in the past, but nothing like substantial by any means. But Aaron Harden, he's the director of a museum down there in Jackson, Tennessee, and he reached out to me, I guess like last October or November, and he was interested in showing this work. And his whole thing is he has like an MFA background, and he's very much in the fine art, the art photography scene. But his whole thing is that he wants to not only make work more accessible to people, but he also wants to show work that someone without an MFA can understand. And he thought that this work was very much like that. Like to you don't have to have like a 6-page thesis in order to like understand this work.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like very basic in that way. And he just wanted to show that. And I was like, I thought he was joking at first, because I'm like, why would you want to show my work? But yeah, we talked a little bit, and I didn't know like anything about showing work or exhibiting work. And it was very much like a crash course with him, with showing me how everything works. And I'm very grateful that not only him like choosing me for his first show at that museum, but also just teaching me so many things about how exhibitions work, even like hanging things and choosing certain prints and framing options and everything like that. It was like a my own MFA course in exhibiting work, I guess.
Yeah, that's badass, man. For a first exhibit, man, that's like the real deal. So congrats on that. And I know you kind of talked about it a little bit on your Instagram and stuff. You've gone applied to like grants and some of these things. I think there's one you posted recently. Yeah, the innovative grant. Um, how's your experience been kind of like applying to these grants, and like how have you kind of navigated that? Anything you kind of like learned in the process so far?
That's still very new to me. I think since I've started making this articles of virtue work, I've been applying to like awards and different things that might look good on paper, or certain grants that might send you a little bit of money in order to continue to make the work.
Yeah.
But yeah, applying to those, it's like I'm like half in, half out on that whole world, because it's just hard for me to put into words the work that I'm making. And I'm very basic with everything. For this work, it's like I'm making photographs of people, the American West, or the American Midwest, and the cars that they drive. For this new work I'm making, it's about St. Louis, and it's about the Arch. For a lot of grants and a lot of people that I see winning grants, it's like I said, it's like a 6-page thesis. And I know like you and Bryan talked about that in his podcast about work being sounding a little bit pretentious, and the words don't match the work. And I see that a lot with grants and awards and things like that. And I don't blame anyone for that, but it's like I never want to, if my work isn't good enough based on the images alone, then maybe it's just not good enough. Because I personally don't want to sit there and have to write it out, because it's like, if I wanted to do that, I would be a writer. Like, I want my photographs to speak for themselves, and I don't want to have to write down exactly what I'm talking about in order for you to get the work.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really delved into that world too much, but I'm like just talking to people about it, and Like my friend just got a Guggenheim grant. Actually, he was like my professor, but he's been at it for
That's
10.
like top tier. That's
Yeah, but he kind of broke it down like I guess it's kind of no different than anything because the fine art world, it's like yes, it is about art, but at the end of the day, it's still like a business like anything else. And
Mhm.
I kind of learned like, oh yeah, he got that, but it's because his resume was like he had got this other grant, and they kind of look. It's almost like editorial. They're like, oh, you shot for this magazine? Oh,
Mhm.
okay, we'll give you a shot. And that's kind of what I took away from it. I don't know if that's right, but it kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting world, the fine art world. It's way different. Like I said, I haven't done it too much, but it is a lot more. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
Pretentious.
I don't want to speak about it too much because I'm still new to it. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to pave my own way. But with for me, with like grants and awards and things like that, it's just I think it shows you like where you're at in regards to the bigger picture.
Hmm.
And even if I don't win something, or even with that Innovate grant, I got an honorable mention. Like I didn't even win anything.
Yeah.
It was just nice to see that it gets recognized for being quality work
Yeah.
in the broader sense.
Yeah, you're in the mix. I think. At least for me, I always just try to, if you just focus on making the work, like you'll get some opportunities and no one's gonna get all of them, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
impossible. So it's just like, I think my thing is like, if it's keep making work, at least for me, it's always just been like, make my personal work, doing my editorial stuff, and the longer I've been doing it, stuff kind of slowly comes my way. I don't get every job. I don't haven't shot for certain clients I've always wanted to, but like maybe eventually. But you get your opportunities, I think, and just how you've gotten some wins.
Yeah, yeah. And I always try to remember that too. Like it it always seems like everything's going against you sometimes, but you always have to take every single little win with just treat it as a huge success. And I've said since day one, like I think good work will always be found and it
Mhm.
will always be seen.
Yep.
And I've even with like something like a YouTube channel, it's like not everyone, but people always tell me like, oh, your channel should be getting more views or whatever. It's like, I think it will at a certain point. Like it's slowly growing. Like I'll take a little bit of growth over a long period of time compared to like just spiking and getting a bunch of views like one time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, just got to continue to put in the work and
Yeah.
slowly have a
Dude,
success.
you're hard on yourself because you're like the YouTube. I'm like, you get good views. Like you're like averaging like 10,000 a video, man. I'm like, that's good, dude. Like you should be proud of that.
Yeah, I am extremely, yeah, I that's a negative of mine, like being a little bit hard on myself. I've gotten comments like that too. They're like, you just need to chill a little bit. Like
Yo,
you're
you don't
doing
want
fine.
those views? Send them my way, Brian. It's
But
funny.
yeah, it's all
Personal.
relative too, because like
Yeah.
even like your channel or your podcast, like I don't know what numbers you do on like podcasts, but it's like the conversations you're having and the stuff that you're talking about far outweighs like 99% of the stuff that I see on YouTube. And that's all that matters. And I think like you just got to keep doing that. And I just got to keep doing my thing. And
Yeah.
someone that's starting out, they just have to just keep doing it and be consistent. And
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate your channel because it's like you're saying, there's a lot of YouTube channels and they're playing the game. But I was like, the thing about you have a YouTube channel, but it's your main thing is you're a photographer and a really good photographer, and that comes through. It's not just like bullshit. Like, like, you know what I mean? It's not this, there's the work's real, and that's the main thing that resonated with me.
well, I
Um,
appreciate hearing that because, yeah, like I said, I always, not always, but most of the time I'm doubting myself and I'm looking at other people and I'm like, I should be doing that. I should be posting about this. I want this camera, but
Yeah, but then other half the time is it's like multiple things. It's like sometimes the people you're looking at, you're like, they just been at it longer. So
mhm.
it's like that's half of it. One more project I wanted to ask you about. Not a project, but you did an assignment for the New York Times. It looked pretty interesting. It was the what does it say here? My vision is shit. International arms dealing. What was this assignment about? Because it looked kind of interesting.
Yeah. So I think that was maybe 2024, but yeah, they reached out to me and they were doing a story about Boeing selling F-14 planes to other countries for war, I guess, which obviously isn't the best thing, but there's a Boeing plant in St. Louis, and
Hmm.
I guess that's where they either make all their planes or I don't know. It's a huge facility,
That's amazing.
and
That's amazing they let you in because like a lot of these places, you can't even get into this type of stuff.
oh, it was that was extremely interesting because they I had to get special like security clearance. I was in there, and there was at all times there was 6 people surrounding me.
Crazy.
And every time that I took a picture, I had to show the back of my camera to make sure that
You
nothing
good?
was in the picture that was like a security breach.
Yep.
And then when I got done, um, well, even like walking through, there was a point where I was just walking down like this hallway, and they told me they're like, do not look to your left, just continue to look forward. And I'm like,
What the hell's
what?
going on over
Yeah, I'm like,
there?
what is over there? Like, but I didn't look, and I probably should have looked. But even after I got done, they had to look at the back of my camera, go through all the photos, make sure that I didn't take any photos of like. There was one point where I took a picture of like a just like plain parts, like
Mhm.
small parts, like screws and things like that. And there was like security, like serial numbers on them. And
Mhm.
they're like, we can't have you taking pictures of that because they'll figure out what parts we use and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll delete it. And yeah, it was pretty wild.
No, it's cool. And the assignment work thing, it's one of my favorite things in your videos. Like you'll do like a breakdown of like, hey, I shot these 2 assignments in the past couple months or whatever. Um, with the assignment work, do you feel like you have like a different approach than your personal work? Is the assignment work, do you enjoy doing it, or what's kind of your perspective on that type of work you're doing?
I definitely enjoy doing it a lot. I like how it's everything's just different, and every single time there's like a new challenge, or it's just a different story, which is nice. I don't try to change up how I shoot too much, and I feel like I just try to go about it like I'd go about everything else. But obviously, with some things, you have to change some things up. Like for the photos that you're showing now,
Yep.
like I had like that was the first time that I got to photograph like a celebrity of any kind, but I
Hmm.
got like 30 minutes with him early on in the day. And then for the performance aspect, I was just like in the crowd. So I wasn't going to use like a 4x5 for that or like a wide lens. So I had to switch it up a little bit and use like a zoom lens, which I don't normally use. But um, yeah, I love doing assignment work. There's always a different challenge. Meeting people, speaking with different people. It's just, yeah, I'm really grateful for getting every opportunity that I get, honestly.
No, that's great. I guess wrap up, man. Like, what's next for you? Obviously, doing the YouTube channel. You're doing your personal projects. You're doing weddings. Like, anything you're excited about, kind of moving forward, I guess.
Well, like I said, I'm moving to Washington in April, which I'm terrified about. So we'll see how that goes. But
It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a whole new vibe to your work. That'll be kind of exciting, making different looking pictures, living in a different place, I would imagine.
yeah, yeah. So I'm working on this current project in St. Louis called Westward Dear God. And I started that back in March, and it's been going pretty well. And I feel like I'm making a lot of work quickly compared to like the car work, which is nice. But with moving out to Washington, I might have to have like a pretty good deadline on finishing up that work. But this is probably going to come out before this weekend. But I'm actually having a show in Chicago for that work as well as Articles of Virtue. It's like a one
Wow.
night only type deal.
Oh,
But
wow, nice.
yeah, in the future, I just want to continue kind of doing what I'm doing, but also I have been wanting to just do a little bit more community involved things like meetups, like these one night only type shows, going to like pop ups, things like that. Like that's one thing that I feel like I kind of didn't do in my time that I've been in St. Louis. So moving to Washington, I know it's a little bit closer to Seattle,
Hmm.
Portland, places like that. So I want to be a little bit more involved in just like real life stuff instead of just all this social media bullshit. So
Yeah.
super excited about that. And then just like continuing working on personal projects and seeing where that goes and trying to get weddings in the Pacific Northwest.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Bryan, thanks for taking the time, and I'll link your channel and all your website and everything, and people go check out your work. But really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. You got to keep killing it with the podcast. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
So there you have it. That was the Bryan Birks interview. Just want to thank Bryan so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. It was a real pleasure talking to him about his journey with photography and his YouTube channel. And yeah, just really appreciate his work. If you want to see more of it, you can go check out his YouTube channel at Bryan Birks. His Instagram is at Bryan Birks, as well as his website, bryanbirks.com. I'll put all his links in the show notes so you can go give him a follow. But yeah, as always, thanks for listening. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast with today's episode, if you use the promo code BANTER for first-time users at pickdrop.com, you'll get 2 months free of the PickDrop image transfer tool. Just go over to pickdrop.com, enter the promo code BANTER, and you'll get 2 months free. Thanks so much, and take care.